Hello creatives, Serena here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, I did actually film this one time before, so the editing may be a little choppy, but I want to do a couple things today. I do want to do a review of the sketchbook, and then I do want to talk about style. And finally, I do have, of course, we're going to do a sketchbook tour of the sketchbook, but I have a surprise package to include, a little clip of a surprise package that I want to include at the end of the video, which you art lovers should enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I do want to do a review of this sketchbook. I've been working in here, so I have a little bit of sawdust and stuff on here. By working I mean working on the studio, not working in the studio. So I haven't been painting, I've been building. This is let me see if I can get this and if it'll focus. I keep hitting the camera, I'm sorry about that. It's a Tumurata sketchbook. I got it off Amazon a couple of years ago actually, and I just priced them, and I can't remember spending this much on it, but this is about a 6x6 inch. This was a watercolor one, if I remember. It's currently going for like $18 US. They do have a mixed media this size. I guess it's a different paper, I don't know. It's $14. So difference in price there. They both have 24 sheets, which would be 48 sides, you know, front and back would be 48. But I can't remember that I would have spent that much on this type of sketchbook that's not 100% cotton. So it must have to do with the tariffs. Anyway, I do like that it has a nice thick elastic. You know, some of these have a very thin elastic, but this one's nice and thick. It does have a pocket in the back, so you can put all kinds of handy things, which I like. First of all, I'll show you a little bit of the texture on the first page. Maybe you can see that on a close-up. I'll kind of move it around so you can, maybe the camera will grab that. I can't see here in the viewfinder if it's picking up that texture. Plus the light's a little funny. But first page, I did some swatching here, which, you know, a lot of people do. And you know what prompted this actually was a talk by Amy of Winterwood Studio. She put out a video a couple of weeks ago where she just basically realized that she was kind of lost as far as her style. And I think a lot of us are lost. A lot of us are lost nowadays because of what's going on in the world. But that aside, sometimes, you know, you just wake up and find out that, hey, I don't like the style of art that I do anymore, or I don't know what I should be doing. And I think a lot of people are in that boat, myself included. I used to do oil painting, and I did some very graphic, bold colors, very geometric. Here, I'll put in a clip. I do have a clip, so let me go ahead and put the clip in. Okay, so these are a couple or three of the oil paintings that I did years ago, probably about 10 years ago. Kind of indicative of a very bold use of color that I still like, I still use, but very, very graphic design, a very graphic, I don't know how else to describe it, but this was a style that I painted in years ago, and I stopped mainly because, well, oils are a little bit toxic, but you know, you got to be careful with oils, but also the main reason was that it takes up a lot of space. The canvases take up a lot of space, and I didn't have the space, so I kind of gave up on it. I stopped painting in oils. I may pick that up again, but I don't know if I'll pick up the same style. You know, as your style changes, you move on to different things and you try different things, you experiment with different things. But I like the play with the spatial, you know, it makes it look like one thing's in front of another, and that play on space and proportion, you know, the proportion with the circle there and the piece missing. So I like that. I may get back into that a little bit, but right now I'm more into watercolor and mixed media just because I don't have a space to put these when I'm done. So you see a little bit of what I used to do with the oil paints, and I put that aside for a while because I got busy with work and some other things. I stopped doing art for a while, and I didn't really know what direction to go. And after that, I started to focus more on watercolor, and then now more on mixed media. But I really enjoyed Amy's tour of her sketchbook. She bravely bared all and showed us her sketchbook, which I think she was kind of reluctant to do. And I don't see why. There was nothing extremely strange about it. There was nothing embarrassing. It was a typical sketchbook. But the point being, in her sketchbook and what you'll see here, is that these are practicing sketchbooks. These are functioning sketchbooks. They're not the sketchbooks you see when you see a sketchbook tour on YouTube or you see clips on Instagram. It's a mishmash of everything. And she's included swatches, she's included sketches, she has, you know, compositional, you know, tests and stuff. So that's what you use your sketchbook for. And you'll see there are things in your sketchbook that you will be proud of and things in your sketchbook that you will absolutely cringe over. So now that I've said that, let's go ahead and maybe do some cringing. Okay, that's a little closer. So here I just did a little kind of play with watercolor and line and a marker. Here also watercolor and a marker. Here I was testing out my Schmenke palette for the first time, and I really do like the bold colors in the palette. I really love my Schmenke colors. They have made such a difference in the enjoyment I take in painting, as opposed to using like a cheapy palette. You know, we've all got the cheapy palettes, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're great for practice and testing things and trying out new colors and stuff. But I do like my Schmenke palette. And you get these little accidents here sometimes. You can see that. I'll pull it up a little closer. Maybe it'll focus. It'll focus on that little like bare spot that you can see. They're kind of washed out a little bit, and it gives a little texture there. I kind of like that. But you can get some really bold colors with this sketchbook. So it's not, even though it is not cotton, it does give you some nice bold colors. It picks up your paint. Here, the obligatory, you know, planets, which everybody's got to do a moon. Sooner or later, you do a moon. I did horribly on the rings there. If that was supposed to be Saturn, I don't know. I should have used like a masking fluid, but I was too lazy to get it out. You know, masking fluid is one of those things that once you open the bottle, if you don't use it often, you're going to have a problem with it drying out very quickly. So, all right. And again, just playing around with watercolor and then pens, different pens. The background I was playing with, different designs for foliage and so forth. Not any kind of composition intended. Just I drew this and painted it, and I drew this and painted it because I had room there. Could I have made it more aesthetically pleasing? Yes, of course. I could have like really done a composition and then painted it in. But I didn't, you know, I didn't want to. That's not what a sketchbook is for all the time. So here are some more designs I did, and playing with textures. I wanted to see how moss would, you know, look, or algae would look growing on the rocks and the bricks and such. and patterns of sunlight, just kind of making things look like textures. Here, another play I did just out of my imagination. And one thing I wanted to say is that sometimes you will find things in your sketchbook that you really love and parts that you don't like. This was completely out of imagination, but I like the way the reflection came out. It looks to me like it would have looked exactly like that. And I like this little quirky lemon here. The very corner of the lemon is just like bent, like someone dropped it and you know, on its end, and it said, "Oh no." So I like that little thing there. Here, a top-down shot in a jungle of a lioness, and I'm not going to finish it. I stopped at this point, and I just don't have the momentum to finish this. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how far to take it. I'm just going to leave it. And there's nothing wrong with that in your sketchbook. If you finish something, you know, you have a painting session and you're done that day or whatever, you have to rush off and do something else, and you never go back to it. There's nothing wrong with that, because you still learned something. You know, I learned something about color. I learned something about the top-down perspective. This was from imagination. This was not from a picture or a reference. So, I mean, it doesn't look like a real lioness too much. I mean, you can tell it's a lioness, but it's not really accurate. But I'm not going back to it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Never mind that. Here, it was just some play with Caran d'Ache Neocolors. And now I know that on this type of really strong textured paper, that the crayon grabbed very well. But then when I went to wet it, I couldn't release it. You can still see the crayon. I really had to rub to get that crayon activated. It did activate, but I couldn't get rid of the crayon look. So if you don't want the crayon look on a very textured paper, now you know better, you know? Now I know better. I know what to do. And that's part of using the sketchbook too, is to see what materials work and what don't. Further playing, no reference, just playing with textures, looking to see how I could make ferns or foliage and, you know, the curve of the foliage. And I like these little flowers that I did. I don't think I used a dagger brush on those, but it kind of looks like I did. But anyway, I mean, I just three little touches to the page, and they look very delicate, and I could see doing a painting with flowers where there's clusters of those. It would look very nice. This kind of reminds me of Sketches and Scrubs work. If you've ever seen her, followed her, she does these very delicate florals, very nice. Her earlier work was a little more loose like this. Now she does some beautiful like roses or peonies. They're kind of tight flowers. They look very nice, very elegant. She also does some urban sketching too. I've seen her do that on her channel. I'll link her below, as well as Amy from Winterwood Studio, whom I mentioned earlier. But very nice kind of style she has. And I kind of didn't mean to mimic it, but this reminds me of it. And again, kind of more of that loose, layered floral. Now here I got into playing around with, it's not gouache, it looks like gouache, but it's not gouache, it is, these are those little craft paints again. So I played with the craft paints again, no reference, just blobbing them on and playing around. Just, you know, when you have a few minutes and you want to do something, playing around with the texture of the sky, and then blending the striped effect here without mixing the color, just kind of blending it on the brush. I kind of like that texture. Here again, just playing around and then adding pen on top to accentuate the shapes there of the limes and the oranges. Okay, here's, of course I did this upside down. Here was something that I've seen done a lot of times in those fill your sketchbook idea videos, where you just put different blobs of color on your page to break up the patterns, the shapes, and let them dry, and then you go back and color on them or draw on them or whatever. So I did that, and I went back and did little designs over them or little drawings over them. Not very good drawings. Why? Because I didn't use a reference. Again, that's a lesson for me. But it just gives you an idea of, you know, testing out things in your sketchbook. Don't ask me what this is. Don't know. I do like the background. I was playing around with the background of the different color blues. I like the movement of the brush on the paper like that, how it blends in some areas and is pure in others. Whether that's sky or water, I don't care. The cat, I tried to do a little pink highlight where the light would shine. And yes, that's supposed to be a sun. The thinking with the little rays on there is, you know how when you were a kid you used to draw rays of the sun coming down from the sun. And this just wound up looking like the sun needs a shave. What can I say? Horrible. But look at this. This is where the book actually cracked. And I'm very easy on my sketchbooks. I don't backbend them on purpose because I don't want this kind of thing to happen. But now it's like that. It's going to open to the spot every time. So just something to note. I mean, all sketchbooks will do that if you abuse them. And then another thing, here's another spot where it happened, where I probably was holding it open to paint rather than using clips. But one thing that I noticed on this one, it does have perforations, which is kind of nice if you're one of the people that wants to scan your work and you need it flat, or you want to give it away, send it to somebody, and you need to tear it out. It's got perforations. But the thing about the perforations is that once the perforation is bent, it stays like that. You can't straighten it out to a straight page anymore. It's always got that kind of crink in it, and I'm not a fan of the crink in the sketchbook. So just something to note. Here's another one of those where I used a different gauge of pen. So it's a bolder pen. It gives you kind of a more graphic, less realistic look. Works in some areas, not very effective in others where you have fine detail. So another lesson learned. This I really like. This is a use of a negative painting. I like that effect, and I kind of just did negative painting and I went over with some gold highlight there on that. I don't know if you can see that. Hope I'm capturing that. Further, I went on with more of that, but different subjects, and I tried different color. Tried a white marker, and next time I'll plan that a little better and maybe do it on a darker background. This, I don't. Your guess is as good as mine as to what's going on in my brain. That's what came out. Now we're getting into another section where, again, I'm doing the blobs, but what do you notice? The effect is a lot better because I'm actually using a reference. So in this page, I was actually looking at what I drew, and it came out so much better. Lesson learned to me, and I don't know why I don't learn this lesson, that I need a reference. All the time I try to draw from imagination, and there are people that can do it. You know, good for them. They do it well too. But I'm not one of those people that can do that. You know, the people who draw fantasy work, or they just draw something. They just draw a tree and it comes out perfectly. Another one of those things, but I'm changing it slightly. I'm overlapping the edge. See how I'm experimenting here? I'm overlapping the edge of the color. And I really like this. I like this effect more than the one on the prior page. It's just more interesting. This, I tried the same thing, but I doubled the color. So I went over the outline of the shape a second time with the same color. Not very effective as far as I'm concerned. It kind of detracts from the overlap. I think this is more effective. This was a spread that I did from a YouTube video where somebody was reviewing a book. It's like a watercolor workbook with, you know, how to paint different things and make marks and so forth. So you basically lay down the color, and then you go back and you put down marks, and then you go back and put down more marks. So you do like 2 or 3 layers of marks. And I don't know, I kind of got bored with the marks I was making, but interesting concept. And the same thing here, I did that too. On this one, I had extra paint left over, and this was one of those, what do you do with, you know, your paint, or what do you do to fill your sketchbook? You take your paint from your palette and you just blob it on, blob, 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 and then when it's dry, you go back and you draw what you think you see, or what it could be. So I came up with a few things there that, you know, it could be, and all freehand, no reference at all. Don't ask me what this one is, with this guy with the kind of, I don't know, lightning coming out of his head. That's all I could come up with. So that's what I did. And now I'm getting into more mixed media. I underpainted with, again, this was with the craft paint. I kind of like how this came out. And then I did negative painting around it. Just negative painting around it. And then did some marker on top, just some blobs of paint on top of that. And I kind of like this section here where I didn't use all the same color to paint around the shapes. I used it was like a dark midnight blue and black, and I kind of just mixed them as I painted it on with a small brush, and it kind of made a nice pattern there. But I like that. I like that effect of the background showing through. And this one you need your glasses for, but I am pleased with how it came out. Just 4 colors. Just brown, orange, the neon pink, and if you can see, I topped it off with some gold highlights. But the composition is very even. I kind of like the way it turned out. This is all FW acrylic ink. All right, so I lost my battery there. Sorry about that. But the point being that, you know, use your sketchbook for all kinds of things. Don't worry that it's not going to look great. You know, it's for you. Who's going to see it? And you know, also, it's to learn, it's to experiment with, it's to have fun with, it's to find your style. And when you have I'm not going to say a body of work, but a group of work like this, and you flip through it later on, and you look and you say, wow, I really like that, you know, I really like this, then that helps you and it guides you toward what your style is evolving into. So if you're lost and you don't know what style you have, I'm still looking. I don't know what I want to paint all the time. I look to this. I look to my past work, and I look to see what I gravitate toward. And I'm hoping that will help me find my style. And I hope it helps you find your style too. I hope you enjoyed this part of the video and you get something out of it, and you get to look at your sketchbook maybe a little differently. And I hope you enjoyed the review of this sketchbook too. Would I buy it again? Probably not, because it is not 100% cotton. I really do like the 100% cotton paper. It makes such a big difference. It's frustrating when you do something and it doesn't come out right, and you just wonder to yourself, well, if I had done that on good paper or using my good materials, what would that have looked like? And then you just have to do it all over again with the good materials. So if I'm going to do that anyway, I'm going to do it from the get-go. So it's not a bad sketchbook, besides the little cracking there it did in the spine. But I have other sketchbooks. There are other sketchbooks out there that I would gravitate toward, and I think I'm going to concentrate on using those up before I get more sketchbooks anyway. So Okay, I have something to show you that you are going to love. If you love art, I have my scissors here. I'm ready. Here we go. This came to me a little worse for wear on the edges, but we'll see what it is. Hopefully I'm opening it to the top. I am. Ta-da! Look at this book. I have been waiting to get a hold of this book. It's been on my wish list, and I held off. I have several others in this series, the Life and Works in 500 Images. I highly recommend it. If you like specific artists, they do have several in this series, and I was lucky enough to be introduced to this when I went to a store called Ollie's. We have these stores by us. They are like odd lot stores. They'll have housewares like Tupperware and stuff. They'll have remnant rugs. They will have K-cups and tea. They'll have all kinds of odd things. They'll have books. They have some art supplies. Really off-the-wall things, some bedding. But basically when stores either maybe go out of business or they don't sell a whole season worth of things that they have, and they want to just get rid of 3 of these and 4 of those and 7 of those, they'll send them to these places. So I happened to find a couple of these books reduced at those stores, and I grabbed them. Oh my goodness, are they wonderful books. I have the Van Gogh one. I'm looking at the Cézanne right now. I also have a Monet and Manet, and Renoir is the one I wanted to get that I did not have. If I can get a hold of, who is it I want to look at? I'll think of his name in a bit. He used to go travel in South America and do all these, like, you know, these Polynesian women, and I'll think of it in a second. But this is a beautiful series. And one of the things I like about these books is that if you take the cover off, if you take the dust jacket off, you still have a nice, smooth book that you can look at and read, and then keep the dust jacket clean if you want to. I've done that with mine as I was looking through them. But I'll show you a little bit. The first part of these books, they will go through the life of the painter. I mean, the ones I've looked at so far, they go through, I mean, the birth all the way up to death. And so they tell all about what they did during their life, who inspired them, and they've even got, you know, other things, like this one has the birth of Impressionism, because obviously he is part of that group or inspired by that group. So you have other paintings as examples to show you where his, in this case, look at his sensitivity to color has come from. You can just see that right there. Look at that. Right from was this Turner? Impressions Serene. No, this is, I'm sorry, this is Monet. Shame on me. Okay, this is Monet, but I mean, look at where that comes from. There's the orange in the lips. I mean, just that splash of color. Not to say that he took it from there, but it's just an example to show you how impressionistic work wound up in his work. So they show you all the different stages of work that the artist has gone through, and the personal things in their life, their relationships with women, if they're men, and with other people, and with the art community of the time, and then they go all the way through to their death. And then at the end, they will, or the second part of it is basically the gallery. and that's the, I think it's chronologically oriented, but they show the paintings, the major paintings. Look at these beautiful plates. I mean, these are beautiful reproductions of his work. I can't wait to get into this, but they will tell you the specifics of the work, where the work is now located if you happen to be in those areas or close to those areas, the size of the work, which, you know, gives you a lot of information. And then they tell you a little bit about each painting, which I find very interesting too. But they go through the whole artist's life. I hope I can show those nudes on here and they don't censor me. Oh dear, that's a big one. I should look at these before I flip the page, I suppose. But look at the beautiful use of color and the light, just the way he captures the light. Just wonderful. So I thought I would share this with you, and I thought you would enjoy. I have a nice index in there. Each one is written by a different person, you know, a expert in the artist. So just a wonderful book. I enjoy my other ones. I haven't read all of them. I haven't read Manet, and as I said, I'm in the process of reading Cezanne. What is the other one I want to get a hold of? Gauguin. Gauguin is the other one that does the painting in, you know, Tahiti type places, these tropical places. And he just brings to life, you know, the fishing life, fishing village life, and so forth. But just a nice series of books. I highly, highly recommend it if you can get your hands on them. I think they were created in England. So I'm getting copies, you know, there are copies overseas from the United States and England. And just well worth the money. Even if you have to spend full price for it. This was used, believe it or not. It looks new, and I don't think anybody even went through it yet. So I think this was just like remainders that they had, and yeah, very nice books. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed some of the art here, and I am working on my studio. I'm in the studio. I have my tools ready to go right now. I am going to put up a couple more boards right now as I finish with you guys. So I'm making progress on that as well, and I'm moving along. So thanks for joining me. Give me the thumbs up. Like the video if you liked it, and I will see you next time.